Harrison effing Ford. Oh, wear the whip, daddy. Like, could you even?
Do you remember seeing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade for the first time?
I saw it at the Villa Theater in Springville, Utah. I saw it with my brother and my dad. No, I mean, I loved the Indiana Jones movies, all of them. I had actually a hard time choosing which one of these I was going to, like, which Indiana Jones movie was the one.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely the one because I was older at this point, so I remember it a little more. I had, we rented the VHS and the VCR because that's how old I am. From the pizza place.
Mm-hmm.
We would get like a pizza and Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, and the VCR, and bring it home, and we would watch it. And they were so dark and weird and messed up, kind of, for a little kid, but I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And also Harrison effing Ford. Wear the whip, daddy. Like, could you even?
Too much.
He was saving artifacts. He's a history avenger. What is sexier than that? And then, I saw Last Crusade. I think, at least 3 times in the theater. And then later on VHS as well. Because it was the last one. I was like, oh my God. And it was about it, it was about the afterlife, and it was about living forever, and it was about family. And I was from Utah. I grew up in Utah, and the first part of it took place in Utah, and I was like, oh my God. Utah.
Yeah. I was just reading about that. Like, I don't know if it was actually filmed in Moab, but the town at the beginning is supposed to be Moab, and then he's like all around the southwest, like going to, some of it was filmed in Arches National Park and like all of these other places that are like these beautiful, amazing settings. That's one of the things that's so incredible. So getting back to the matter at hand, I think just focusing on Harrison Ford being daddy.
I will focus on Harrison Ford as much as you want me to.
It's like the adventure of it all, the way he's dressed, shirt open, a little too much. He's like this incredible hero, but he also has these little things that make him more relatable, like being afraid of snakes and whatever. But like, so like virile and manly and whatever. I had exactly the same thing. It's like, definitely that element enhances the adventure.
Manly and funny. He was so funny. And I will say that is definitely my type. It doesn't have to look like him, but yeah, that's where it comes from.
Yeah. I have to say, with The Last Crusade, I also had a crush on River Phoenix, so that helped a little bit. Watching it now, he's a little too he was basically a child. So, but Harrison Ford is definitely more.
But a child with a jawline, he was very handsome. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid, like heartthrob. Yeah.
So, can you remember like coming out of the theater the first time you saw it, how it made you feel? Or
I remember being so excited that it was coming out, and like I remember seeing the preview at another movie, being like on the edge of my seat, so excited about the fact that it was coming out. And I don't remember specifically leaving the theater, but I remember my brother and I would play Indiana Jones, and like, at the time when that movie came out, we would play Indiana Jones a lot, and do like, we would drink from cups. We would do like, we did our, when they drink from the cups at the end, we'd do things like that and like play. He was also gay, or he is also gay. So we both liked Harrison Ford, and made more fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is another element for gay boys, is it's like, it gives you the opportunity to like something that's like very straight boy coded, where it's no, it's like, you know, fighting and you know, yeah, going on these missions and whatever. And it's also like, but it's also hot. Yeah. I guess if we're talking about this one in particular, are there things about the story that stood out?
I mean, I think that because it was also about family, that to me was a big thing, because family was very important to me, and my family is very important to me, and I love my father very much, who's still alive, but he like that he had to save his father's life, and that it's a much less romantic one than the other ones. Like, it's not, the love story is not so big in this one as like the story of a man and his relationship with his father, and his, you know, there's definitely lovey, sexy times too, but that was such a big theme of it, and just in that it was about like what we leave behind, what our legacy will be, what, you know, and it was the first like series of movies that I ever was really involved with that ended, you know, that I was like, and this is the last one. How are they going to wrap this up? And not knowing that, of course, they would do another one later, but still, that it was like, at that time, it was like, and then these people that you love are going to be gone forever. Characters that I loved so much. And all of them, John Rhys-Davies, like there were lots of fun little characters in it.
Yeah.
All those people.
Yeah, that father-son relationship, you know,
so good.
Sean Connery is so great in it as well. Like that part was written for him, and yeah, the dynamic between the two of them is perfect.
So funny and good.
Yeah. And sometimes with casting like that, where like Sean Connery was 12 years older than Harrison Ford, so
really
couldn't really, I mean, maybe could technically be his dad, but it would be, you know, another story.
Yeah. I didn't know it was that close.
Yeah. And, you know, people age in different ways, and they were styled in different ways and whatever, but it's still very believable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of the story, like their dialogue was written by mostly by Tom Stoppard. He like polished the script and was uncredited or did it under an alias or something, but that's
amazing.
Yeah. The depth of their love for each other, I think it's like having somebody who is such a like master of his craft helping to bring that to fruition really came through.
Oh my gosh, that is actually amazing. I didn't know that, but I love Tom Stoppard. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the whole father-son relationship, I think, coming in the third one and what was supposed to be the last one, it also changes the way you think about Indiana too. And from the beginning, it is like, you know, this big, virile, masculine man who's doing all these things on his own and going out and like saving the world, and then seeing him kind of turned into a little boy and regressing when he's around his dad is really funny, but it's also like another element of that story that really stood out for me.
And sweet, really surprisingly sweet and challenging. I mean, like, it reminded me of my relationship with my mother a lot. Still does, you know, in a lot of ways. Like, my mother and I kind of bicker in funny ways like that with each other.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that's the most relatable, is seeing that kind of parent-child dynamic in these really high-stakes situations where it's like life or death, but it's still like, Dad, shut up.
Very much, very much so.
Yeah, all of that stuff is great. But like the action sequences, you know, these like big Hollywood blockbusters, and the thing that I think when I look back on that, it's almost all practical effects, and how much labor and time goes into building all of those things and how complicated they are.
Really towards the end of the time in which that was happening. I mean, it wasn't that many years after this that everything started going very digital, you know? I mean, it was not that long till they just they weren't actually blowing up buildings anymore, you know? It is pretty incredible. Those stunt sequences are really, really incredible. Even the very beginning with the train and the
oh, so good.
Yeah.
And, because it was River Phoenix as well, that was,
Also,
again, pulled focus for me. But like, the animals like the rhinoceros,
through the roof. Yeah.
So funny and incredible. And, and that was like animatronics that didn't use any real, there were the rats, there were like 1,000 real rats that they had to breed.
Yeah. Oh, good God.
Yeah. Those are the things. Like there was somebody else who was supposed to play Ilsa who turned the role down because she was like deathly afraid of rats.
Oh my God. Yeah. You would like that. No, that would be really tough.
So gross. And
the snakes too, weren't the snakes were real.
There were parts where they were real when River Phoenix falls back into all the snakes that are rubber. Which that to me, of course, that's fine. And even snakes on their own, I don't care about as much as rats, but like being in amongst the rats and having them crawl over you and
in her hair.
Oh no. But yeah, they had to breed them specifically for this movie because they carry so much disease that they can't just get rats from anywhere. It's like, oh,
gross. You gotta have clean rats.
Oh,
that's
horrific. But that thing you were saying about like digital effects coming soon after, this was the first movie that or the first composite digital effect ever was used in this movie.
Really?
So yeah, and that's like Steven Spielberg, always kind of trying to use new technologies and push things forward in that way. It's cool. It's like, again, people who are masters of the craft who are like really trying to make the biggest spectacle possible. And that's the like summer movie element of it. Like, were you as a kid, were you a person who was excited about that phenomenon, like summertime being a time when crazy
the big movies
came out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all were. Like everybody was excited about the big movies, like, and like when the next Disney cartoon was going to be released, like these things that we were universally excited about that we don't have exactly right now. We're more like our niche community is very excited about this. We can't wait for Bridgerton to come out, but not everybody's excited about that.
Right.
These things that it was like, no, everybody was sort of excited about it. It was like, there weren't that many of them. So like there was one or two that we were all paying attention to. And that was sort of one of them. And it was the community aspect of that is something I miss, of like this kind of equalizer, of this entertainment equalizer that was like, oh yeah, we're all interested in it, was so thrilling, And the way that movie in particular too, the way it is, just what you said, which is like, it's very masculine. There are fight sequences, but it's also very like sexy and about a family relationship and has like a very emotional things about it. And it really is a beautiful story, like it actually is such a moving story.
Yeah. And during the era when we had that kind of monoculture, feeling like you see something like that and it means something to you and is touching you, and that's how everybody feels, that it's like this thing that is this huge dominating cultural force that's totally inescapable. Everybody knows about it. And there are so many other people who are seeing it and feeling exactly the same way that you are. And like you said, that still happens in our own little bubbles. And, you can have that effect when you're talking to somebody who's like on the same page as you are, but you can't even guarantee that in your group of friends or your family. Or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll say to people, what? I love Bridgerton. And they're like, what is that? Or I don't have Netflix or whatever. But yeah, the kind of summer blockbuster phenomenon, I think for me was like not just about having these like cultural moments that connect you to other people or even the excitement of it, but it was also just like being off school and having these like big, fun, exciting things to do and having that kind of escape. So was there any element of it for you that was like that, kind of having this fantasy world to get into.
Yes, and also like going to the movies was such a big thing, you know. Like I lived in a very, very small town in rural Utah, and there was one little tiny movie theater, and it played one movie at a time. And so when the movie came, when your movie was there, you went to go see it, which is why I saw it several times, is it was like, that was the movie. You know, it was like, you went to see it like a piece of theater. It was like, go see it at night, you know, and you buy popcorn, you buy snacks, and it was like a whole experience, you know. And I try to do that with my son now. Like I love going to the movies, and he loves going to the movies, which is fun. Although now we're like, you know, in recliners, and like they're bringing us food, and it's fun. It's very much fun. But I do like the experience of going to see it. I like to watch things at home too, but like there are lots of movies that I like to go, I want to see in the theater still, you know? And I think that it's based on a lot of these experiences I had when I was a kid, seeing movies like this, that made me really like love the experience of going. And it was something that we did as a family too, that it was very much like a family experience thing. And we would go together. I loved it. Still do.
Yeah. And I think that feeling coming from an era where, you know, if you want to see a new movie, you have to go to the theater. And even at that time, being able to watch movies at home was kind of a new thing, as we have discussed.
Yeah.
But it made it so for me, going to the movies is this kind of like sacred, maybe too strong a word, but it's like this experience that is just so meaningful to me.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, and also it's one of the only art forms that allows me to escape from my phone. It's like that and going to the theater 2 times. Like
when you actually put it away. My mom and I used to do this thing when I was in high school and all through college. We called it Mommy Movie Monday, where I would take off a day. Like if I was taking off school or something on a Monday, we would go and see as many movies as possible. Like at the movie theater, we would check out call movie phone and write down all the times. So it could be like, okay, so this movie is 2 hours and 11 minutes. So that means if we go at the 10 a.m., then we can get to another one at 12:30, and it's this movie. And we would go back to back movies, and we would see like 4 or 5 movies in a day till like midnight. And we would pay for them all because we were Mormons and would not sneak into theaters. And my mom would, of course, not be like, we're not paying, but we would pay. And we would go and like run out, but we would sneak snacks in because they're ridiculously expensive. It does not need to be that much, but we would go shove M&Ms in our pockets and things, you know, coat pockets, and like go watch movies all day long. And it's one of my like favorite memories. And in fact, I did it with my son for the first time a couple of months ago. We only saw 2 movies, but we went, and he was like, it was decadence, you know, we're going to sit in the movie theater like all day. It was in the middle of summer when it was really, really hot. We're like, we're just going to be inside an air-conditioned movie theater. We're going to eat lots of snacks and watch movies. I need to do that with him again. That was fun.
That like special time with a parent or a family member, like that was a big thing for me too. You know, art generally, that's kind of what this podcast is about, is the way that it connects people and that kind of stuff. But for me, movies in particular, movies and music were always things that really connected me to my parents and to the rest of my family. So I get that.
That shared experience.
Yeah. And you know, just from the way you're talking about it, I can tell that it's this thing that is very meaningful to you, that is something you can kind of pinpoint as time with your mom that was like, this was for us. Lovely. How has your relationship with this movie, and I guess, you know, with all the Indiana Jones movies, evolved, changed, grown throughout your life, if it has in any way? Like, how is your relationship to it different now to when you saw it when you were a kid?
You know, seeing all of the movies at such an informative time in my life, I think shaped a lot about how I played Indiana Jones with my brother, but there was a part of me that like wanted to be Indiana Jones, really. You know, it was like the adventure of it. I really loved history. It really got me excited about history. It really, really got me excited about travel. And that informed a lot. Like the adventure part of him flying off to some foreign land to me was like thrilling. And there were a number of years, I spent a lot of time traveling in my 20s and was a travel writer for a little while. And it all really came from that it was like Indiana Jones traveling to foreign lands to discover, like temples and things. I mean, like I went to Cambodia to go to Angkor Wat because I just wanted to like climb around like he did in the jungle and in the temples, like it really, like it stuck with me for a very long time, that sense of like adventure and who he was as an intellectual, as a professor, but also like as this secret adventurer, that he had this like secret life as an adventurer or something. I think that informed me a lot about as being an artist, because it like the same sort of like cavalier way to live your life however you want to kind of, and like a lot of that really did inform me. I really did want to be Indiana Jones when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And about, I don't know, it was before my son was alive. So, I mean, it must have been in the past 8 years. I shot a movie with John Rhys-Davies where he kidnapped me. And then he and I spent this whole movie, like he kidnapped me and I was his prisoner. But it was a very funny movie. But we just spent the whole time goofing off because I knew the kind of actor he was from seeing those movies. I was like, oh, you're going to be fun to play with. And there was like 4 days of this movie. We were just in the backseat of a car, like in a green screen, fighting kind of, and like having these very funny fights about hot dogs. And God, I had so much fun. And we didn't say any of our lines. We just started talking to each other, making jokes. And I think some of them made it into the movie. We just started playing with each other, but it was a surreal moment as far, like there are people you work with who no matter, like I will never be able to act normal around. And one of those people because of the Indiana Jones movies that I was just like, every day I went to his trailer at lunch and I was just like, all right, tell me everything. Luckily he loved it, but he would just be like, so there I was in a helicopter with Harrison Ford. We were on our way to a pool party at somebody's house. And I was like, yes. I just made him tell me stories because it was like about that time in his life, because it was such a unique time to be a movie star. And they were in like the blockbuster movies and I was like, Harrison Ford, did you see him naked at all? No. But that it was like, tell me everything because I just want to know what it was like. Like, I think that if I could play any part, it would probably be like Indiana Jones. It was such a character I loved. God, even talking to now, I'm going to go immediately watch all of these movies. Like tomorrow.
Yeah.
So much.
That sounds like being able to work with someone who was involved in those movies and having him be generous enough to like tell you the stories about what happened to him is pretty exciting. And John Rhys-Davies is a legend in many respects. But we
would just be standing there and he'd just start like quoting Shakespeare, and I don't mean like one or two lines. I mean several minutes of like obscure Shakespeare or like like sonnets, just because he's an older gentleman, but he has a very sharp brain.
Yeah. I think he's late 80s now, something like that. Anyway,
the actors are ready. He would always when he was ready to go.
Yes, I was just thinking, Gimli as well. And my axe.
Yeah. Right? What a career.
Yeah, amazing. I think the legend that is John Rhys-Davies is a wonderful place to stop. What a treat. I love talking about adventure and about big Hollywood blockbusters, which are my fave. So This has been really
Okay.
great. I really appreciate making time for me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.